This is day 232, bending over a dollar to pick up a dime. I love English idioms. I've collected them over the years, and occasionally one will swing back into my mind because of a phone conversation or an observation that I've made. The phrase pennywise, pound foolish perfectly captures a common error many of us are prone to. This phrase most likely originates from Robert Burton and his 1621 book, The Anatomy of Melancholy. Now here's an interesting thought. Did the British invent depression? Perhaps the frequent gray skies and rainy weather contributed so much to bouts of melancholy that Mr. Burton felt compelled to write about it. Or maybe it was the reality of living in a crowded, dirty, disease-ridden town. We take so much for granted these days, but I digress. Burton discussed common sources of discouragement, and one of them was the tendency to be overly frugal with small matters, watching every penny, while being careless about larger ones, referring, of course, to the British pound. The more modern American equivalent you might hear is bending over a dollar to pick up a dime. This phrase can take on several meanings, all of which are worth exploring. First, over-optimizing for small wins. Here's an example from recent experience. I worked for a corporation where over time a culture developed around intense scrutiny of expenses. Everything was tracked, documented, and analyzed. There was a persistent concern, perhaps justified at some point, that fraud or misuse of funds might occur if this wasn't tightly managed. Executives would examine their P&Ls and zero in on the travel and expense line. In a corporation with thousands of employees, this number could be significant. So they introduced extra controls, and sure enough, they were able to reduce that line item by 10 to 15%. They were proud. They had picked up the dime. But at what cost? I decided to do a little back-of-the-napkin math. I looked at the cost of the software used to manage it all, the personnel assigned full-time to monitor and track expenses, the time every employee spent entering receipts, the layers of management reviewing and approving, the budgeting cycles, the reporting, all of it. When all was said and done, I estimated that the cost of reducing expenses by 15% was at least 5 times higher than the savings that it produced. This is the first meaning behind the phrase. We can get so worried about the pennies that we end up wasting lots of dollars or pounds. Second, short-sighted financial decisions. The second meaning relates to short-sightedness in financial choices. This is incredibly hard to see in ourselves and so easy to spot in others. I do this all the time, and my wife is usually the one that points it out, much to my irritation. Sure, I fall into this trap with small purchases, but the biggest culprit is opportunity cost. I'll stress out or stir up a frenzy over a small opportunity that's right in front of me, while completely missing a much larger one simply because I didn't lift my head to even look. Growing up, I could never say no to anything. If someone offered me a chance to earn a few pennies, I'd take it, only to burn myself out and miss the opportunities that could have paid big dollars. And while I'd like to say I've matured, I still make the same mistake, just in new and more sophisticated ways. I spend my time focused on pennies while the dollars are right there waiting for me. I've got my head to the ground inspecting the small and the trivial, while the big opportunities are standing in front of me, waving their arms, trying to get my attention. Third, neglecting what will cost you later. Sometimes we ignore the things that will cost us dearly in the long run. I'm guilty of this too. I once had a small leak in my boat at the marina in San Diego Bay. I thought I should take a look at that one day. Now, this might sound crazy to you. A hole in the boat? Yes, a hole. But something about boat ownership lulls you into a laissez-faire approach to maintenance. Like the old crop duster pilot who casually kickstarts his ancient Pratt & Whitney radial engine and rumbles down the runway. No normal person would do that, and no normal person would say one day about a hole in their boat. but that was me. Eventually, I got a call from the marina. You'd better come look at your boat, dude. There it was, listening to the side, engine compartment full of water. By ignoring maintenance too long, I ended up paying dearly. Come to think of it, those AC units in my house are probably overdue for maintenance. But hey, they're working now, right? Fourth, overreaching while ignoring the obvious. And finally, my favorite and bitterest pill of all. I call this shooting above the mark. Sometimes the most obvious and easiest win is sitting right at your feet, waiting for you to pick it up. But instead you believe that you're too smart, too accomplished, too important to stoop down and grab it. So what do? You stretch, you reach, you contort to grasp the distant and difficult pennies, ignoring the dollar right in front of you. You say it can't be that easy, so you chase the hard path, because only the hard things are worth striving for, right? And in so doing, you quite literally bend over a dollar to pick up that dime, or the penny. There's wisdom in these old English idioms if we stop long enough to think about them. It seems like humans have been wrestling with the same issues for all of time. Sure, they didn't have the internet, smartphones, or AI, but they had the Gutenberg press, the automatic hay baler, and the cotton gin. And for as long as there have been old folks handing down wisdom to the younger generation, they've all said just the same thing. If I had just picked up that dollar when it was right in front of me.